Going to make a little drawing of this girl. I found the picture on Pixabay. Let's start with the outlines. Her eye. I will zoom in a little bit. And her nose. Constantly measuring where it should be. Oops. This one is not good, a little bit higher. Her mouth. And now I have roughly her face on the paper, but I need to get this eye better. Not convinced of this one. So in the next phase with the tonal values I will work on this better. So now I have a rough outline of her face. And you can also trace this, of course. So now I have this outline. I'll just start with adding tonal values. Here is a paper to rest my hand on, otherwise I smudge the drawing paper. And I just add accentuations, tonal values. And when you look at this photograph, you can see that most of it is quite uniformly in tonal value, but it's a little bit lighter here than here. There's a build-up from dark to light to the highest light on the forehead, and here it's light as well. And of course there's shadow here. So we have these facial features which are quite dark in an otherwise white area, light area. And I edited the photo a little bit to get some more difference between dark and light within the face, but it's not much. So it's all quite light. But I thought it was an interesting picture. Beautiful girl. And when I put accentuations on the paper, I tend to think later about the more complete eyebrow. At least that's what happened now. I added some accentuations earlier, and I thought, well, I have to, and with this eye as well. So I need to fill it up carefully as well with tonal value. Now there are these large areas that need to be darkened. Now her face is forming on the paper. And his eye is one whole area as well. With the makeup, I think this is gothic makeup. And look at that dress. When you look up the picture, she wears some sort of gothic dress, which reminds me of the 90s or early 21st century. Going all over the place now, from one detail to the other, drawing the shadows or the transitions from dark to light. And I trust some of her hairs. On the one hand, I want a tonal value which is dark, but I also want something which suggests that it's hair. So long lines of the pencil. And while I put a line on the paper, I try to think about more or less the direction of it, in the hope that my hand will follow it a bit. Well, the hope it can work that way. That while you think of a direction, that the line which you are putting on the paper will follow your thoughts about that direction. Now I'm adding tonal value because it's dark. I need to define her face as well from the darkness, the dark background. And I mainly want to focus on her face, so I want to suggest her hair and let it play a role in how the face is, emerging from the darkness. But the main focus for me, is her face in this drawing. And here it's just adding graphite to make it darker. And sometimes it's just going on and on until it gets the desired total value. And I shouldn't forget this area. There's also a tonal value. And now I need to isolate this white a little bit. This must be darker too. Here also this needs to be darker because there are only a few areas which are quite light. So in her cheek, let's work on that now. And I'm building up the tonal values now. In the back you can hear the television. The Tour de France. Tour de France is now going on. At least my father is watching now. And I'm recording this in the evening, but he recorded, I think, in the afternoon and watches it later. one of the advantages of recording the Tour de France is that you can skip the boring parts and, you know, go fast forward when you want to. Now I needed to adjust the shadow. Maybe I adjusted it a little bit too much. I see now. Anyway, I just go on. And now I'm adding accentuations again, more detailed work in her eye. Eyes. So now I'm wondering, shall I make this darker? But in the character of the sketch, I can leave it as well, more or less this way. I think I can add more lines, so I don't have the feeling that the drawing stops here. But I want to extend that. But I'm not going to make it so dark as in the photograph, because I would just add a lot of graphite, or I would just make it dull, perhaps even. I'm wondering what I do with the background. I think I do this. Adding horizontal lines which contrast with the lines of the hair. Gives it a little bit more atmosphere. Breaking the horizontal character a little bit. Making it a little more like air. And now I'm looking at how to refine her face. So I'm going to take a little break now in the drawing process, and then I go on. I'm just refining her features now. I took quite an extended break actually. So when you are making a drawing like this and you go through several stages, sometimes you need to do large parts and sometimes you need to do refined work. It's good to take a break and do something else for a little while and return later to the drawing, and with a different mindset, perhaps more concentrated on details, perhaps you can finish the drawing. So it's good to not finish it all in one go, but to wait sometimes a little bit to do something else and return to the drawing later. And sometimes you can see what mistakes that you were making or that you made and that you didn't see before, or you can work better on details because you have taken some rest. And I don't want to do too much on it now further. I mean, some things need to be done, but I like the drawing as it is now already, so at a certain moment it's important to not ruin what you have on the paper already. And I'm working on this area now. I think that this shadow needs some work. So there's this, let's say, concentration on the face when you look at this drawing, but to give it some sort of base, fundament, how do you call it? I want this area to be dark. And I'm reaching a point that I think, well, the more I do on this drawing, it doesn't make it better. Let's put it this way. I'm starting to fear that when I go further on this drawing, I mean, I like the drawing as it is now actually, and if I work more on this, it doesn't have to get better. It might, you know, it might be a good time to quit now. And sometimes that's one of the most difficult things in making a drawing, knowing when to stop. But I think, oh, this needs some more definition. I'm looking at it now. Is it a good time to stop? Every time I say, oh, I'm going to stop, all of a sudden I see something which needs a little bit of work. But I don't know why that is actually. This can be darker. I think it's a nice drawing with a nice atmosphere as it is now, so looking at that chin. Oh, this needs some work. But I think I leave it at this. Thank you very much for watching this video again. Thank you.